So we're going to talk about how to repair broken strands. And the first thing I want to, kind of put out there is I do a lot of PT, which is probably obvious. Broken strands happen all the time. When I was younger and first getting into PT, every time a strand broke, and it was catastrophic, hellfire, brimstone, that kind of thing. Obviously with age comes perspective and stuff like that. But if you're new to PT, tendons break on every single job I have. I can't think of a single job I have had that wasn't have a broken strand. I mean, we miss anchor bolts, they miss embed plates, they drill in stuff. There's tendon improvements. These things happen. So what you're looking at here on the screen, I received about 10 days ago on a job in San Diego. Basically during stressing, the uniform anchors, two of them, had bad concrete and they just rotated over on the second pour of the job. So, the pour is going great. You have something like this where they have the forms on the back side. Hopefully you can see here, this is where the grout pocket and anchors were. And then during stressing, the force is applied, obviously. The bad concrete couldn't take the force from the anchor, and these things lifted up. So then when they pulled back the formwork, this is what it looks like. Obviously, you can see here this concrete, completely devastated from the anchors. Obviously, it was a function of poor concrete. And these were never even fully loaded. These were, let's say 10, 20% maybe. So not the full 33,000 kips of force. And this is what it can do to concrete. The solution to this was to rethread the strands. It's a new construction, which is fairly simple. And I'll cover that. But my point is it's, not a big deal, provided obviously no one gets hurt. There's numerous different ways to fix these things. And there are some numerical methods to get your, self out of it if there's just no way to fix it, while still providing a strong structure. So a lot of different options. 20, 30 years ago, it was a lot more challenging to fix and it got a little more interesting. But nowadays, especially with encapsulation, you have a lot more options available. One of the things about PT, and as I said, I've been doing this a long time. Before COVID, when we used to do seminars, not webinars, in person, I would always have these myths about concrete that people would tell me. First of all, that PT is crack free. If concrete cracks and it's post-tensioned, it's failed, it's horrible, it's crap. That's just not true. Concrete is concrete, whether it's rebar or post-tensioning. Concrete cracks, steel rusts, wood splinters. These things happen because you have post-tensioning does not make it crack-free. And in fact, if you do post-tensioning poorly or way too much or overbalance it, it's going to crack and crack severely. So that's just false. Another misconception is PT is waterproof, that if you compress concrete to 150 PSI or 500 PSI, somehow you make it a waterproof element when it is not. I was proofreading a textbook that was sent to us from obviously a professor, and they have, without being negligent, saying that if you want a watertight structure, you put 200 or 250 psi in. That's just not true. There's nothing about pre-compression that makes concrete waterproof or watertight, whatever that is. And then I would also argue that more PT increases the amount of cracking potential. And when you crack concrete, I don't care how much pre-compression you have, it really isn't waterproof. PT with load balancing reduces the load on the columns. That's just statically incorrect, but I'll skip over that. Relevant to this discussion, the myth is you just cannot drill into PT concrete. I was told that when I was first starting this stuff and learning it, and that's just not true. Like I said, every single job I have, we drill into the deck, everything gets missed, stuff happens. If we couldn't drill into PT concrete, it'd be almost impossible to build anything. Now, obviously, you have to be a little smart about it. You just don't take the coring hammer and just start plowing away. But if you avoid the strands, they're unbonded, so you can literally nick them, take the sheathing off, and as long as you don't break it, there's no change of the post-tensioning, and then don't drill right through the anchor or the concrete directly in front of the anchor, and you're good. So that's it. The other things I've heard is that if you hit a tendon, it will fly out of the building, kill at least 3 to 4 people and one small dog. And obviously this is an attempt at levity, but I have had a number of people tell me about their brother's, cousin's, sister's, boyfriend saw a tendon fly out of the building and just devastate. It was just, don't use PT. not that I'm proud of this fact and don't do this. I'm strongly recommend, but I've been on a deck and purposely cut a strand so I could feel the awesomeness. Let's say you feel a slight ping. It's like, the wind kicks in and you feel a vibration or something against your windows. There's nothing catastrophic about it. Is there potential for things to go wrong? Of course. But in general, vast majority of the time, there's a little vibration. That's it. There's no catastrophic things. These things happen. And a lot of times we break strands on purpose to put a new opening. So again, it is not that big of a deal. And replacing it is a big, pain in the proverbial. Again, 30 years ago, maybe, but nowadays it's just not that big of a deal. You have a lot of different options. And I think the skill set of the field personnel is getting better and better with our product and our materials. And that's becoming more and more, available to you.